this week we broke a very interesting story on skynews.com.au about ADF veteran Heston Russell and his grievances with the ABC. The ABC published his sexually explicit photos in a report about Russell raising money for a charity on subscription porn website OnlyFans. There was a way to do that story responsibly, and the ABC failed. The ABC tracked down the sexually explicit photos which were sold to individuals on the website and published them against Heston Russell's wishes, with a slight blur. Now, obviously, we are not going to show you these photos, but they are extremely revealing, to the point where the ABC had to carry this warning label on its own reporting. The Queensland Police will make a call about whether they believe the act of publishing those photos breaks the law, specifically Section 223 of the Criminal Code, which has been dubbed the revenge porn laws. But the legality of the matter aside, why on earth is our taxpayer-funded national broadcaster descending into petty tabloid hit pieces filled with a man's naked photos? Let's bring the panel back in to discuss. Evan, I don't know if you've seen this story or if you saw the original reporting from the ABC where they published these photos, but to me, it looked like I was reading something in News of the World, a British tabloid, some page 3 story that was okay with nudity. I could not believe that the national broadcaster stooped so low.
Yeah, context is important. I've been following this shameful episode since the beginning, and it started with the ABC's error-ridden report about the Marine herder Pop story, which Heston Russell was quite obviously concerned about. He actually started a parliamentary petition to have an independent review into this story, and at that point it had achieved over 20,000 signatures. Now, the ABC is a big empire, and the empire always strikes back. And this is an absolutely shameful episode because they resorted to a grubby new low, even by the ABC's standards. Sharing someone's private photos is never okay. It would have never been okay if it was a woman. Could you imagine the outrage? It would have never been okay if it was a left-winger. But the ABC thought it appropriate to publish someone's nude photos as an act of spiteful revenge. Another shameful episode by the ABC. And I say again, it is a staff-run collective with no one in charge. The managing director is meant to be the pseudo-editor-in-chief. How did this ever get published? And hopefully Heston Russell sees some justice out of this process.
Yeah, and Kel, Evan raises a very good point. Context matters. And we know that Heston Russell has been pushing back against these reports from 2020, which were alleging essentially murder within his own platoon. It had one ear witness. They didn't see anything, but they supposedly heard something, which led them to believe someone had been killed. That was the extent of evidence. I don't believe it was enough to publish on that. They published. He's been very, very against them in the public. And now they're publishing his nudes. Is it an act of revenge in its truest definition of the word?
Well, the word context, you're right, and Evan is right, is absolutely important. And I'm just wondering if there is a bigger context, whether in fact there is a stream running through the ABC that is basically anti-veteran. If there's that bigger context. Now, Heston claims there is. He's one of the people who pushed really hard for the current Royal Commission into the mental health of returned veterans, and he's been giving evidence to it. And he says the ABC opposed that and didn't want the Royal Commission. I don't know if he's right, but if he's right, it looks as though there is a bigger agenda here, and it's an anti-veteran agenda. There are some groups in Australian society that the ABC quite possibly takes against. You know, they're happy to collect their money. They collect money from every Australian taxpayer, $1 billion worth of it. But then if they've got an agenda which is an anti-veteran agenda, I mean, I know some veterans and I know the kinds of things they've been through. I know an Afghan veteran and I know what he's been through and how difficult it's been for him. And it worries me to think that our national broadcaster might not just be targeting Heston, but there might actually be a strand running through the national broadcaster, which is an anti-veteran strand. And if so, that's really bad.
Yeah, that's a very good point. I mean, Heston Russell himself had publicly spoken about how he had thoughts of suicide around about that time. They would have known that. They would have known that he was a vulnerable person in that regard. And I can't even fathom the decision to publish those photos. Kel Richards, Evan Mulholland, thank you both so much for your time.
Our pleasure.
Thanks, mate.